What's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Mindshare Podcast. This is where we cut through the noise, say the things that need to be said, and give you straight talk, marketing, and success strategies to help you work smarter, build mindshare, and grow a business that actually makes money. This is episode number 353. And here's what we're diving into. The media is spinning positivity. CREA is running national ads. And the government is promising 500,000 new homes a year. But the reality? The affordability crisis hasn't gone away, the numbers don't add up, and agents are left navigating the chaos. So today we're breaking down why the government's housing promises just don't hold water. What affordability actually looks like in Canada right now. How you can educate, pivot, and lead your clients through this reality. And, most importantly, how to stay disciplined when everybody else is panicking. So, let's get into it. Okay, the market. The market versus the real story. Let's talk about this. See, the media keeps pointing these positive pockets in housing. Like there's this slight rebound happening in select areas. And yeah, I think if you speak to some people at any given moment in a day or maybe a week or a period of time, there's a little bit of, positivity happening. But there's also realities though, right? We know as an industry, things aren't positive out there. We actually know as an economy, things aren't positive out there. We know politically, things aren't positive out there. And then here's CREA, who's ramped up their ad spend trying to position Realtor.ca, which we talked about last week about having the most hits out of any real estate website in the country. They're trying to position as the consumer's first stop. Not you, but them. Why are they running ads? Why are they trying to drive people to them? What have they got up their sleeve that is probably going to cost us all a bunch of money? And then underneath it all, affordability overall, broken. I don't know about you, but when I look at credit card bills in a month, and I start to look at what are we spending on a personal level, it typically adds up to literally household expenses. We're talking groceries, we're talking gasoline. I am just beside myself about how much money we spend on those particular things and how those dominate such a huge portion of our income. And this is literally just to survive. It's not lavish vacations every other day and going around and doing all sorts of things. Whether you're well off right now or you're really struggling financially, affordability across the board is just broken. We know that supply in a housing industry is so far behind. It's how are we going to fix it? And of course, right now, consumer confidence in the market, in the industry, and making investments and having the ability to do, it's just shaky. And it really is a sign of the times. You see, our clients are hearing optimism, and so they expect that things are going to start to move. But again, the optimism is very false right now. So we need to bring clarity. And if you don't bring clarity, you risk being lumped in with all the noise. Just because a headline says that the market's improving, it doesn't mean that your clients can afford it. So you can't sell optimism. We need to sell reality. And we need to sell reality that's backed by data. In fact, the same way that I do with this show when I share with you, and we're going to talk about some of that stuff today, okay? But a lot of what I'm sharing with you is backed by data. It's backed by real numbers. Well, everything we share is backed by that. Because there's overarching headlines. Then there's the depths of what they actually mean. Then there's the realities. And then there's the facts. And without taking all of that into consideration, it's very difficult for any of us as a person, as a business, as a homeowner, as a family, to go in the right direction. right? Because what the right direction is today could be a little bit different than it is tomorrow. And again, we're really, that's more of an example of when I say it, but today being today, tomorrow could be any time. The point is like, you got to pivot every once in a while. So again, we've got to make sure that we're communicating with people. We're communicating to educate. We're giving them reality. We're showing them that we understand. We're building more credibility, more trust. And the more we do that with the right data, with the right numbers, we can help each individual person figure out what their situation looks like and how to improve their situation. And we can help each of them improve their situation. Eventually, inevitably, our situation is going to improve. So some action steps with this in mind. Share one local market stat with people. Okay, go out to your database this week, put something in a real picture, whether it's, listen, whether you do it on a video or you do it as a graphic in your social media. I would say even put it out by email to people, maybe put it in a blog on your website. And all of these different channels are going to help you overall even rank higher and be found more when it comes to being online. Okay, but the point is, put something out there. Share a stat, talk about it, prove why you understand it, and really answer the three questions of what you want people to know. So it's that stat. Let them know why it matters so that they can understand what's the relevance, and then tell them what to do about it. Give them an action step. And if you notice, that's a lot of what we're doing here. I mean, I even just did that with you now, talking about the positive pockets and how CREA is ramping up the ad spend and, affordability is broken. But saying that we need our clients to hear optimism. That's why it matters. We need them to hear that, because if we don't bring the clarity, again, we're going to be part of the noise. So share something with them. The second one here is to reframe the optimism. Look, yes, the market's showing signs of life in some areas, but here's what that actually means for you. Now, I hate the word but, so let's try like that said. Point in hand is, sure, yes, there's some positive. Let's talk about that more specifically when it comes to you. These are individual conversations with people now. This is part of your follow-up. And the third action step I'll give you in this section here is just, constantly working to position yourself as the trusted sort of filter. We talk about the trusted advisor, but even the trusted filter between, noise and between truth. What's real? What's not real? What are the numbers really telling us? And can we decipher what all of that is? Again, if you can be that person who's that conduit of information, that person who's communicating to educate, you can start to help people understand more of what's happening. So again, your three action steps. 1, share a local market stat with people. Tell them what's going on. Tell them why it matters. 2, reframe the optimism when you're speaking to people. It's not about shedding light on negativity. It's about digging deeper with the people that you're working with or potentially could work with to understand their situations and help them understand what's going on out there. And the third one, again, positioning yourself as that person that they want to talk to. I know I've got my agent, and so if I'm lost, I'm going to go call him or I'm going to call her or I'm going to ask them. And whatever they say is what I'm going to believe. Not what the news is telling me, because they're going to tell me the truth. And when you can build that with people, that trusted advisor status, that's where you're going to get more business from. The federal housing promises. Okay, moving on here. I was reading recently about what again this federal government continues to lie about, continues to just tear this country to pieces. And when we talk doom and gloom and optimism, no, I don't know right now, and I'm sorry. I try to really breathe a breath of fresh air for you, an optimistic individual. But to much I just said as well, this trusted filter. Look, I try to some degree, have no filter. Much the same, though, when we look at what's going on and we say, we've got a huge problem in this country. Huge. And it's, our society is changing by the second. You see it. You see it when you're out and about. You see it everywhere you go. It doesn't sound the same. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't act the same. It is completely different. And that is just what's happening out there. Now Ottawa comes in and they're the big savior. They're going to fix. Oh, they know what Canadians want. No, they're so fucking lost. These liberals, they are so lost. I'm sure somebody just turned off my podcast, but that's okay. Okay, that's okay because we got to speak the truth. We got to be real about what's going on out there. We talk about these housing problems, but we continue to have the doors open and allow more people to come in that don't have the means to afford housing. And here's Ottawa, who's pledging to build 500,000 housing units per year. 500,000. Do you know that Canada has never hit that number? Like, not even close? In the best of times, we've never hit that number. And here they are lying to our faces about building 500,000 homes. Do you know that the all-time record was about 260,000 homes, and that was back in 1974? In 2025, we're averaging somewhere around the 283,000. So maybe we're going to hit that all-time high. Somewhere in the 283,000 housing starts annually. And that's like record demand we have right now and record pressure on our economy. We're not even 300,000. So where are we getting 500,000 from? And at the same time, here we are as a country adding nearly 1 million people a year through immigration. Do you know that in 2023 there were 5.1 new residents for every new home built? 5.1 new residents for every new home built. We haven't got the housing for these people. And these people coming in haven't got the means to purchase the housing that we've got. It's too expensive. So they're coming here with very little money. They're coming here with nowhere to live. They're coming here and they're taking jobs from our youth. They're coming here and they're making our streets a fucking disaster. The crime and corruption, or forget the corruption, that's the political level, and that's why they're coming here. But the crime is rampant. People don't feel safe in their own homes anymore. Canada used to be a place where we'd look and we'd watch the news and go, that doesn't happen here. Oh, that's a crazy part of the world. But here we are bringing in all the crazy people from all the craziest parts of the world. And what are we doing? We're making Canada a fucking crazy place. And then we talk about housing problems. We talk about affordability. Affordability. All the money's going to help people that shouldn't be here. They're taking advantage of our system. How in the fucking world, oh my God, I know I'm going off now. How in the world are refugees getting $82,000 a year? $82,000 a year plus. Or how about this? Do you have children? Do you get child benefits still? Do you know that people new to the country are getting 3 times what we get? Why? Why? Why is it our responsibility to take care of people that are coming from places that they caused their own problems? They're bringing their problems here. Now we got to take care of them? This is ludicrous. This is the real problem with housing. This is the real problem with the government. All these promises, they don't add up. Look, you can't fix an affordability crisis by just announcing random numbers. We're going to build 500,000 homes a year. No, you're not. You never have. How are you going to figure it out? And on the same token, they talk about labor shortages. They don't have enough people to go and do that and build the houses. And we talk about the red tape, delays in getting permits, availability of land. Like the promises that are happening are just completely unrealistic. Even if we magically hit 500,000 housing starts in a year, like magically, and like we just talked about, we've never even come close. If they're mostly condos or they're mostly luxury homes, affordability hasn't improved. I know I went off on a tangent here. I'd say I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I'm disgusted. I'm beside myself. Feel a little lost. See, like these politicians, they love big, they love round numbers, 500,000 homes. It sounds amazing. Again, the truth is Canada's never come close. And without supply that matches income levels, the affordability crisis is actually going to get worse. And if you go even further and think about how much tax dollars you're paying out on a regular basis and where those tax dollars are going, you're working like a dog. You're paying a shit ton of money in taxes, and most of those taxes are going overseas or going to help others rather than yourself and your community. So here we are struggling, working, grinding, and seeing no benefit. All driven by the policies of our federal government. Again, I've said in the past, red or blue, I don't care which side you're on. Quite frankly, thank you for tuning in. If you're on the red side, you're on the wrong side. Change needed to happen. It needed to. And I know, but Dave, you can't change the past. No, you're right. You're right. And I shouldn't be dwelling on it. But it's as we continue to, move forward in this economy and in this world and watch this beautiful country of ours in Canada turn into something that we don't even recognize. It just makes me angry. Makes me frustrated. It scares me. Makes me sad. I love rocking the maple leaf. I love saying I'm Canadian. Now, what the hell does it mean to be Canadian? You look around and you think to yourself, like, even the TV commercials, and when you see the people on TV, I know, listen, I know we live in a multicultural society, and trust me when I say I realize we're all immigrants to some degree. But I would say, and I would argue, and I think you could agree with me, I'm sure you would agree with me, that the folks that came in back then came in with good intentions, came in for a better life, came in wanting to assimilate, came in looking for the opportunity that we have. Hard-working, good people. Now we got criminals. We got people chanting in the streets and wanting to tear our own country down on our own soil, and we're accepting it like it's normal because, democratic society, freedom of speech. Fuck that. Get out of here. You're dangerous to society. Nobody wants you here doing that. You want to be here and be proud to be Canadian? Come, be. Welcome you with open arms. But the money, the quality of life we've got, it's just different. And it really is scary. No other country in the world would you go to. No other country in the world would you go to that they will promote people that are from everywhere else but their home. They're going to take care of them first. And that's exactly what we should be doing here. Look, action steps here. I know, I went off. Educate your sphere, okay? Talk to people. When clients maybe talk about what Ottawa's promises are and how, more houses are going to come, just remind them. Canada hasn't cracked 300,000 starts consistently in 50 years. To get to 500 and to solve this problem, it's not going to happen. The plan that they have is not going to work. 2, ask the real questions in your content. Okay? Be real. Just like I have been with you. In this sense, though, more specific to housing, who are the homes for? Where are they being built? Will average families actually be able to buy them? And 3, differentiate yourself. Don't just echo the headlines. Be the one who actually brings in real facts, real stats, real data. If you're just saying what everybody else is saying, you're just falling into the mix. Take a stance. Have an opinion. Do it with substance. Do it with fact. Look, if you're still here and you are red, or if you're still here and you're fuming at some of the things I just said, first, again, I thank you for staying here. I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. And I'm going to say to you that I'm sure you don't agree with a bunch of what I just said, and that's okay. And I know that there's a bunch of you right now. I know you're listening going, yes, yes, yes. So sure, I took a stand. Sure, I jump out and talk about this stuff. Sure, I put myself on the line. But let's be real. These things need to be said. Anyhow, I digress, because I could keep going about that. As you can tell, it's got me. Let's take a quick commercial break here. This episode is sponsored by Kit's Keep in Touch Systems, helping realtors stay top of mind and generate consistent leads. REM Real Estate Magazine, the trusted voice of Canadian real estate news. REVEL Realty, redefining real estate with bold marketing, strong culture, and proven results. Be sure to grab your free resource, grab your ultimate marketing bundle at mindshare101.com/free. Remember, the more mindshare you build, the more market share you get. And another reminder, I'm going to be on the road again for the Ontario Realtors Care Foundation Motorcycle Ride for Shelter. And this ride it's not just about bikes, it's not just about me having a bunch of fun. This is about realtors raising money and awareness for shelter-related causes across Ontario. Be sure to visit realtorscareontario.ca/ride. Anything you can donate, I'd be super grateful, big or small. Again, this is not for me. This is for us as an industry to give back to the people who need it most right here in the communities in which we live and work. realtorscareontario.ca/ride. Find my name. Anything you can give, we'd be super grateful. Thank you in advance. Okay, so yeah, a little bit of a rant from me over there, but I don't even know if I'm finished with that right now. I mean, like when we talk about affordability, we talk about policy, we talk about real talk. Coming back to that, and I don't know that I could just end this so quickly. I'd say, there's a core housing need. 1.7 million households live in housing that is inadequate, unsuitable, or unaffordable. And they can't afford better alternatives. 1.7 million households. That's almost 12%. Now, when we think about, price to income, and we talk about affordability and like they can't afford better alternatives, we look at the ratios there. In Toronto, let's just take, biggest city in the country, ownership now eats up 74% of people's income. And I think, I know I said this a couple weeks on the show, if nothing changes, CMHC projects it could hit 79% by 2035. And I've said to you in the past, a sustainable threshold is 30%. We're at 2.5 times that number. Again, you want to tell me why I'm so pissed off with the Liberals and why I'm so pissed off with this federal government? Same thing, I guess. It's because of this. More than 2.5 times. Life is unaffordable. You stress about how hard you work and how little you have, or how hard you work and how you're unable to do some things you want to do. Listen, at some point I'm going to tell you, and I don't want to walk away from a lot of the learning we do, and we talk about systems, we talk about processes, we talk about how to do more, how to invest your time. I don't want to take away that and just give you like a cop out here. But what I am going to say to you is, when you sit there going like, I'm really, really working hard and for some reason I can't move forward, you got to understand most of this is not a you problem. Side note, if you're not putting in the time, you're not putting in the effort, you haven't got the systems proper and you're not responsible, you haven't got goals, yes, it's a you problem. But if you're sitting there going, I got my ducks in a row, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and things just aren't working the way like they're supposed to, the math ain't it's not mathing, the math ain't mathing. Understand that this is a bigger problem that, unfortunately, we have very little control over. Actually, some of us have very little control over. In fact, no, how do I say this? We all could control it, yet somehow, when it came to federal election time, a big amount of people completely fucked it up. Like, just totally fucked it up. Because it was an opportunity to make change. And I'm not saying the change would have been 100% better. I'm not saying that would have solved the housing crisis. That's a beast of a problem. But change would have happened. Things would have been different. Now we're just keep going and compounding and making it worse. And we knew that the time with the federal government to begin with that clown that was in power, we knew things were bad. So we rallied for change. And as we went forward for change, somehow the lunacy of people decided to keep things very much the same. Okay, so again, if you got your ducks in order, it really is not a you problem. There's a bigger problem. See, when households spend 3/4 of their income just to own a home, everything else suffers. Saving, spending, stability. And clients, they're not just cautious. They're paralyzed. They can't do anything. And here we are the recipients of that. The not doing anything. Because when they're not doing, we're not doing. Housing isn't just some market stat, right? This is a human stat. And like right now, 1 in 10 Canadians is living in a core housing need. And if you ignore that reality, you're selling in fantasy land. So some action steps again. Think about hosting what we'll call a local affordability briefing. Okay, this could be virtual, it could be in person. You're basically putting together a seminar, a webinar, and you want to break down what affordability really means in your area. Help people understand the numbers. Have the conversation. Show them you're somebody who understands and can help. The second one, post a rent versus like a buy breakdown. If you rent, this is what you could get. If you buy, this is what you could get. Use local numbers. Show what's realistic. Help people understand their money. And the third one here is push some of your local leaders, if you know some of the people there. Push some of the zoning boards. Ask the questions. Dig in. Be part of the conversation. If you want a solution, then be part of it. Ask them, are we building homes people can afford? Or just more units for like the wealthy? Or more units for the people that I don't want to keep going on that topic. I do. But I know I'm ranting right now, and I want to make sure we use this time properly. Okay? And the point that we're making right now when we say this is to help people understand about affordability, help people understand their options. And as we move ahead here, process over panic. Okay, there is a way to get an edge. There is. Markets, they're fragile. They suffer. They collapse. We're seeing brokerages. Whose margins are getting thinner and thinner and thinner, and we're going to start to see some of these brokerages implode. Some of the ones who didn't build proper business models, some of the ones that overextended themselves in multiple locations or the fanciest of offices, but limited value back to the agents. These things are happening. We're seeing oversight bodies waste money. I mean, all of them. I come back to REA. How much money did REA spend trying to figure out that they needed Luigi Favaro as their CEO? I mean, the guy was there the whole time. He's the exact right guy for the job. What are we even talking about here? What are we doing? Give the guy the position. Mr. Hudak, a gem of a guy, is done. Now we're looking for somebody. Luigi's there. What do we have to spend all this money just to come back to the fact, oh yeah, it's Luigi? Are you kidding me? He should have had the job from day one. Right guy for the job. Okay, but CREA going out with data centers and servers and all these things, and the ads. Why? But the thing is, we can't control that. But we can control our processes. Okay, you think about the past 18 months. Interest rates spiked, affordability tanked, inventory froze. And a major brokerage absolutely, I don't want to say major, that's giving them like respect. A brokerage with a major fallout collapsed. How about that? Okay, we'll say major fallout, major theft, major crime. See, agents without systems, They always have been, they are, and they always will be scrambling. But agents with a process, they're still producing, even in a tough market like this. See, when headlines cause panic, the professionals will always fall back on their process, on their discipline, on their systems. And that's why they win. Not because the market was better to them than it was to you, but because their systems were consistent, are consistent. So instead of panicking, think about your process. Think about what you do. So I'll give you some action steps for that. 1, define your 3 non-negotiables. Prospecting, going out to meet people, doing the calls, doing the messages. Prospect, you've got to meet 1 new person a day minimum. That's 365 new people a year. Another non-negotiable is database. You have to nurture the database. You have to send the emails. We've got to do the direct mail. We talked about that last episode, right? The voice notes, the personal connections with people. You have to do it. If you're not doing it, they ain't hearing from you. And if you're not doing it, somebody else is. And if you're not doing it, somebody else is getting your business. And another non-negotiable, content creation. I'm not saying you got to be the most viral person on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. But putting out a consistent content strategy across your social, a consistent content strategy that you can then parlay over to your website, a consistent content strategy that can parlay to your email. The more we're putting out the content, the more we're sharing with people, just like I do right here, what our knowledge is, what our thoughts are, what kind of value we bring to the table, and we help people move forward. We provide solutions. We build mind share. And hopefully in that mind share we build trust, and hopefully that trust leads to opportunity. So that's why you want content, not to be viral, not to get the most followers, not to be, spending all day long on social media. No. But content puts thoughts out there. It helps people. It gives them your voice to either read, listen to, hear, whatever, see. They create an opinion. Maybe they create an attachment. Maybe they like, maybe they don't like. If they like, they come back for more. The more they come back, the more trust you earn. The know you like you trust you factor leads to opportunity. So define your 3 non-negotiables: the prospecting, the database nurturing, and the content creation. The second step here in the action steps, this playbook that I'm giving you right now, is to calendar everything. I talk about time all the time. I shared a story about my son with his calendar. Protect your time like it's a client appointment. I don't care if it's brushing your teeth, if it's an actual client appointment, if it's prepping for the appointment, if it's hanging out with your better half. It doesn't matter what it is. Time will continue to tick. It's up to you if you want to make the most of your own life. Third action step here, measure weekly. Okay, weekly. I measure daily. Track your calls, track your conversations, track how many leads you came in, track how many, people you met and how many people you're in touch with, track how many deals you had. Track the numbers. See, the more you track the numbers, the more you focus on the numbers. This is like getting on a scale every morning and going, am I up a few pounds? Am I down a few pounds? Has it moved at all? Did the, exercising I did yesterday and all the healthy eating I did it make any positive impact? And if we're constantly tracking, we can see what's happening. We can see the numbers. So measure weekly at minimum. And I'll give you one more here. Call it your Friday review. At the end of every week, write down 1 win and write down 1 adjustment. So where did I win this week? And then what can I do to adjust to be a better version of me next week? Look, consistency isn't just, it's not just it's not just some business principle. Okay, this is a life principle. Whether you're building business, or you're training for a race, or raising a family, discipline and process beats panic every single time. Look, This episode today, I know I went into a rant, and I'm not going to apologize for that. But this episode wasn't about doom and gloom. This episode's about clarity. Governments overpromise, markets shift, and institutions will fail. But us, but you, we could still win. If you double down on discipline, if you double down on process, and if you double down on truth. So here's your move, okay? First, share this episode with a colleague who needs to hear it. Next, subscribe to this episode so you never miss clarity when chaos hits. And visit mindshow101.com/free to get your free marketing bundle so you can understand how to build more mindshare so you get more market share. And of course, I'm going to ask you, please, as a last-ditch effort here, support the Ride for Shelter through the Ontario Realtors Care Foundation at realtorscareontario.ca/ride. Again, realtorscareontario.ca/ride. Please find my name, pledge me as a rider, anything big or small. Once again, super grateful. And if you haven't yet, follow me at David Greenspan 101, shoot me a DM, and tell me, what's your number one non-negotiable this week? A big thank you to Kits Keep in Touch Systems, REM Magazine, and REVEL Realty for sponsoring this episode. This has been another episode of the Mindshare Podcast. Until next time, keep building that mindshare because that's how you get the market share.